Now I look for things I suck at, because honestly, what a great opportunity. You know, we're like going back to saying we're here for experience. Like, what are we really doing here? We're here to enjoy life, to experience life, to evolve and grow. So how do you do that? Do you just stick with what you know, or do you go out there and look like an idiot once in a while because you're not good at something so that you can actually become good at it? You know, I think it's a really good policy to adopt.
Welcome to Black Belt Beauty Radio, a podcast fueled by a passion to support your journey in developing your most beautiful and optimal performance in life. Each episode is driven with the intention to elevate your mind. When we elevate our mind, we elevate our life. So get ready. It's time to rise. Hey, what's up, people? Welcome back to Black Belt Beauty Radio. Today's episode is with Heidi Moneymaker. Heidi is an award-winning stuntwoman, an actress, a fitness personality, an entrepreneur who now has her hands in stunt coordinating. She's been one of the most sought-after stuntwomen in Hollywood for over 2 decades now. She's performed in huge movies such as Iron Man, Black Widow, The Avengers, John Wick, The Hunger Games, and that's just naming a few. Adding to her incredible body of work, she's been Scarlett Johansson's trusted stunt double for over 9 years now. Her mental framework growing up as an elite level gymnast has played a huge role in her outstanding performances. In addition to her fearless approach to action, she is an absolute team player. She operates from an all-for-one attitude, caring deeply about how her performance affects the teams that she works with. It's the mindset of a true leader. One thing that really stands out to me that takes her badassery to the next level, you guys, is how playful she is. She laughs a lot. You know, I love that. And her youthful spirit is so infectious. I can see how this youthful spirit really does play into how well she's able to perform. You know, it's almost like she never grew up, and her imagination allows her to really push herself continuously to that next level. I loved hanging with her and learning more about her lifestyle habits, her process behind the scenes and on screen, as well as what she's currently inspired by in her life. She's really up to a lot of wonderful, wonderful things. She's dropped some epic mindset gems and high performance lifestyle habits that are supportive to anybody who wants to keep kicking ass in life. And I'm pretty sure that's all of you here. So without any more words, I'm going to hit play and let you enjoy this talk with Heidi Moneymaker. Enjoy. So I'm obnoxious about my starts. I just roll us right into it.
Great. Boom.
Boom. Fucking
we in.
Heidi Moneymaker. Just off the bat, for the record, this is your real last name.
Yes, this is my real last name.
I mean, that's
my dad's last name.
It's so fucking good. Dude, I'm so psyched. First of all, okay, thank you for making time. Absolutely. I'm so excited to meet you. Happy to meet you. We've already had a podcast before this podcast. Thank you to our girl Eve, who's
Absolutely.
Connected us. And yeah, I am so impressed. I'm even more impressed now, like meeting you in person, just like vibing with
thanks.
you. I feel like you are probably, I feel like we're similar in this way where you can read people.
Right.
I feel like that has to play into your job, right?
For sure.
Like your career. And so my read on you is that you're fucking even more badass in real life. So, hi.
Thank you. Well, hi. I had very few expectations coming in here. I had so much going on. I didn't do a ton of research, but upon meeting you, I was like, whoa, I'm so glad I'm here. I'm so glad Eve hooked us up. Yeah, I can't wait to pick your brain on everything you know.
Well, dude, can you give a little bit of backstory about like what you do and, you know, just a little kind of broad strokes about your childhood to where you are now, but we're going to go deep into.
Sure. So I pretty much started my childhood doing stunts, and that's what motivated my parents to put me into gymnastics. So I was like jumping off my bunk bed. Like I would never go to sleep. I was a night owl by nature. They didn't know what it was. They just would like give me some toys and put me to bed after a couple of years. They're like, we have to sleep. And so they had this idea one time to like put me on my top bunk, which had a whole railing. It was all safe, and just take away the ladder, give me a bunch of books and toys and be like, okay, honey, go to sleep, have fun. I read my books and toys and I was like, I want to get up. So I just jumped off the side jumped off and whacked my head on the back of a chair, and I would do stuff like this all the time.
Oh, so they're
how
like, fun for them.
Oh my God, so scary, right? What is wrong with this crazy child? She will never sleep.
Wait, how did you respond to getting injured at that, like,
I think I cried. I think I was like,
but you would just like fucking keep at it.
I would still do stupid stuff. Like I remember one time my dad had this big wooden fan and there was no back to it. And I was watching it and I just went, whoop, and like put my finger in it and cut my finger. And I was like, it hurt. He's like, what are you doing? I was just curious about what would happen.
Just curious.
Super curious. It's like when you
amazing.
stick a barrette in the light socket and it
totally.
zaps you and you're like, okay, so that's what that happens when I do that. Cool.
Amazing.
So yeah, they put me in gymnastics, which I immediately fell in love with and got pretty crazy about for my whole life, which earned me a scholarship to UCLA, and I had the pleasure of competing for UCLA and having just one of the best times of my life, really. I mean, that was when I learned that the team is better than the single person, right? Like gymnastics is kind of a solo sport, when you're growing up. You go in and you compete on an event and you try to win and make the Olympic team and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But when you go to college, it's really like individual stuff is cool, but it's really about the team and working together. And I found that I was a better competitor once I was doing it for the collective instead of just doing it for me. Like I had more doubts and, I could somehow, I don't know, for some reason when everyone else was relying on me, I wanted to be the one that lifted the team up. So anyway, that was that. And then I met a few ex gymnasts that had gotten into stunts, and I wasn't trying to pursue it necessarily, but they would just toss me a job here and there when I was in my 5th year. Like on our scholarship, we get a 5-year scholarship, but like, football and all these other teams, they redshirt your first year.
Okay.
Well, gymnastics, the older we get, usually the more broken down we are. So we never redshirt our first year. So we have basically a 5th year of just school.
What does redshirt mean?
So it means they don't play their freshman year.
Okay.
And they just train and they work with the team and get better. And then they're on to the team their sophomore year. So they get 4 years after their freshman year to play. Okay. So I was in school, which meant, and I wasn't competing as an amateur anymore, so I could take money for these things. So they'd pass me these jobs that were like they needed a gymnast to double a gymnast, big bar routines, that kind of stuff. So I started working like once a month, just not even trying. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to pursue this for a minute and see if I like it. And if it works out, cool. If not, I'll go back to, whatever road I was heading to. And then almost right away, I was really blessed and got a very lucky break and was hired to be one of Drew Barrymore's doubles for Charlie's Angels Full Throttle.
That's fucking rad.
Yeah, it was really fun. And then that was it. I was like, yep, doing it. So this is fun. Hurts once in a while, but it's fun.
Just once in a while. Yeah. That's amazing.
Daily.
You come from a big family too, so you like lots of siblings, right?
Right.
Love that.
Yeah. 7 of us. So
7.
1 brother, all girls.
That's so amazing.
All really tough girls.
All really tough girls.
Yeah.
And you guys have all been supportive of each other like throughout your...
Yeah.
Yeah. Because one of your sisters is also a stunt woman, right?
Yeah. Renee is an amazing stunt woman. She's younger. I started and kind of tried to pull her into it at one point. She's like, no, you're crazy. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to fall off things. Ow. And then like at one point there was a gymnastics TV show. She wanted to get some extra work doing like gymnastics background work. And so I was like, why don't you just come in and meet the people? I bet they'll really like you. And they loved her, put her in for a promo. And then she was doubling the lead in the show for like 3 years after that.
That's so rad. And it's got to be so cool too that you guys have been able to kind of do this stuff together too. I mean, you've literally done this together, right? You guys have been in movies together, and what did I see? It's something where it's like, oh, it was a sad ending because she had to shoot me at the end.
That was for Mockingjay, one of the Hunger Games. Yeah,
so cute.
She doubled Jennifer Lawrence throughout that series, and I came in at the tail end of Mockingjay Part 2, I think. Yeah, Part 2, to double Julianne Moore. And spoiler alert, at the end of that movie, Katniss shoots President Coin in the heart with an arrow and she falls off this balcony and stuff. So it was pretty funny. I was like, you shot me.
I feel like it's been like, when you grow up with siblings, it's like you're always playing. This was part of our podcast before. Like same in my family, 3 brothers, 1 sister. We have clubhouses. We're always just doing super creative, imaginative stuff together. Very physical too. We're all athletes. And, in so many ways, like we've never stopped playing in that way, but we, it's just a little different now, but I feel like that's similar with you. And at least this one sister, but that you guys continue to kind of really like keep each other young and like, developing and using your curiosity and your imagination through your career life together.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, there's something about doing backflips on a daily basis that keep you young, like cool. Cartwheels, flipping around, you feel young. And we've been really blessed to we both work with 8711 Action Design. We're very lucky to be a part of that company. And so we have a great space and a great team of people that we get to train with, on a daily basis, including each other.
Yeah.
And, in the last few years that she got into stunts, and I thought, well, this would be great. We're going to get to work and train together. But she just, blew up right away, and she's doing these huge movies. She's one of the most sought after stunt women in Hollywood. And so there was that moment of like, I'm so proud of her, but I miss her.
Oh,
so
that's so rad.
Yeah.
How rad of you to like open the door and lead her.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like it was going back to what I said about the UCLA and the team thing. It's like, it's lonely at the top, right? Like if you're going to achieve something, you might as well do it with people you love, because
totally
there's a point where you're going to look down and be like, where did the love go?
No, totally. I was talking about this with one of my best friends yesterday, and she was just kind of updating me on all these rad things that are happening for her. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, I just want my people to win,
Right.
It inspires me. It makes me feel good. And I think one of the things when, I was kind of capturing this when you were talking about being on the team, I feel like when there's a bigger purpose outside of just us and what we want, it can pull this fucking next level thing out of us that maybe we were not able to pull if it was just about us. So like a great example is like one of my very best friends, Carrie Walsh Jennings, she's on the road to the Olympics again, Tokyo next year.
Wow, really? I didn't know she was training for Olympics again. That's amazing.
This will be her final Olympics. But like in the last one, it's like, and this happens like with my fighter friends, UFC fighter friends, when I know that my people are about to like compete on a high level, in my training, I literally fucking think of them and how much I want them to win. And it gets me across the finish line. I just can pull something different out of myself when there's this bigger purpose happening. And
it's
there's
quite
more
beautiful,
involved.
right? When you feel like you're stronger because of the people surrounding you. I think if everyone can take on a little bit of that ideology, we would be a stronger world, really,
No, totally. Yeah. And it's supportive, and you lean on each other, and it's just it's there's a lot more fulfillment, I think, in the whole process, right?
Yeah. And just finding like-minded people like yourself, where you can bounce different things off of each other, and you can work, everyone loves to train and eat healthy and, everything. But when like you're doing it as a crew and a group, there's something about that it's like a tribe, right?
It is.
It's like, maybe it's a female thing, but it's our tribal mentality of like getting together and being strong for the group,
Yeah, no, for sure. Strong. Wait, I want to talk about that for a minute, because you have amazing shoulders.
Thank you. So do you.
Thank you, Mike. But so I haven't always embraced it, and
right.
Because it was, I mean, listen, we're both the same age, which is rad, and I feel like we come from a
25.
Yeah.
In case anyone's wondering.
By the way, for my birthday in May, I put it out on Instagram. I'm like, I honestly don't know what age is. Like, I live by levels.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm on fucking level 41.
Cool.
I'm not trying to be on level 20 again.
No, I don't actually know. No one wants to go back.
Nobody
wants to go back.
I did it great. Like, it was good. But now I'm here, and I love owning that,
Yeah.
But, I was going to say that, like, in our... we didn't have this whole strong is beautiful movement and all that stuff,
right.
like when we were younger. And so, this natural kind of development of lean muscle and just mesomorph body wasn't necessarily something that, I was taking pride in,
Right. Because you don't feel attractive to but let's talk about like you want to be attractive to the whatever sex it is you're attracted to, I guess we should say, and not just men. Maybe you're into women, but either way, like I don't know if you felt that way, but I felt that way. Like I have bigger muscles than these guys, and it's intimidating, and they're not attracted to me, and I'm not very feminine, which is not true.
I think that's the thing, is that I have such a connection to my feminine energy, and I know we were just talking about this, and you do too. So it was almost like when guys would say things to me like, and they're so trying to compliment me, but they're like, "Oh, you're fucking ripped, you're jacked," and I'm like, no, I would be offended because it's my feminine
I'm girly.
energy.
So girly.
I know, I just never, I was just like, no, but, it's so different now. But how was that for you growing up? Because, first of all, being a gymnast, it's like, you guys are the strongest. To me, gymnastics is like, it's a whole nother level of strength.
It's amazing. I feel so blessed to have started with that sport, because it is true. Like your full body, it's a full body strength. Like the tiny little muscles in your back and ribs and all these places that, like if I took a person off the street who'd never trained those muscles, it would take years to define them in the way that, and part of that is because when you're growing, right, your muscles are growing that way. So my homeostasis is this place of a very nice muscular situation. So as long as I'm eating well and taking care of myself, my body likes to go back there, which I'm super, super blessed. You too, right? It's so hard for people that have spent 40 years in a different body. Yeah. And now their body always wants to return to that. It's true. That home base, you know. Right. Sorry, I got a little off topic there, it was, I remember growing up and, you know, I was telling you earlier, when I retired from gymnastics, I was like, cool, I'm going to get skinny. Yeah. And I was like, I'll just be skinny like a girl. And there's no way. Like, all I did was like run for 6 months, just ran a lot. And pretty much I looked the same. I was just weaker. I was like, this is stupid. I might as well just do some push-ups. Like, I look the same, but I can't pick things up now. Plus, like, there's been times when I have like tried to thin myself down for a role. Yeah. And what happens is I have such a big structure. Like my shoulders by nature are wide and broad, and so I look kind of like I look sickly. Like it doesn't really work on me. I'm glad I don't care about it anymore, because when I first got into business, I was like, I have to be thin and match this actress. Now I'm just like, well, I've worked my ass off, and I have a talent pool now that they're not calling me because I look like that. I don't look like any actress. Yeah. They're not calling me because I am a good double. They're calling me because of what I can do. So that's great. Now I can just sort of be me.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, and especially now, I feel like we are in a time where it's like, now, I mean, on my Instagram, you always see me flexing, but it's not, it's so much deeper than just like, hey, look at my muscle, but it's more like, of a statement cool of ownership. Now. Yeah. Like, exactly. Wait, so when you first I jump around.
That's okay, cool. Me too. I was like, did I answer the question?
No, you didn't. No,
was there a question?
I'm notorious for this. It's like, you got to be so agile with me, because agility is something so important in life, you know, and I'm super agile in conversation and everything, right? Like, I train for fucking agility. Yeah. But, yeah, I was going to say, like, how was that for you? Like, when you got your first big break, really, like, were you just like, what was the most incredible feeling about it, and what was the most challenging feeling about it, if you can?
Yeah, so this is a little insight into Heidi Moneymaker. So I had gotten this big job, and the coordinator at the time, Mick Rogers, gave me a huge break. I mean, I had never done anything stunt-wise. It had all been gymnastic stuff. Yeah. And I had gone in with a friend of my friend, Chris O'Hara, amazing stuntman, and he helped me. And he helped me put a video together and say, this is stunt-type stuff. And it's all stuff I could do very easily because of the gymnastics background. Yeah. So the coordinator knew that I had this talent, but at the same time, like, I hadn't been on set. I didn't know how to do certain things. So he basically took me under his wing and said, you know, I know you're new, so let's just explain this. Like, the first time I did a stair fall, he's like, okay, so you can fall down these stairs like sideways and pencil roll, and that's cool, it'll still work for us. Or you can do it kind of badass and go backwards. And so of course I'm like, oh, duh, I go backwards. You know, I hit my head a couple times and had to figure it out from there. But I think I did more stunts on that movie than to this day I've done on a single movie. That movie was packed full of stunts, and it was challenging just in the sense of like making sure that I was aware of how to be on set and that. But when I was done with that movie, looking back, I had done more stunts and had more experience than a lot of the people these days that are doing weeks and whatever on some of the bigger films. But in my mind, I was training for the Olympics my whole life. Like, in my mind, if you're going to be this elite stunt performer, you need to have the massive training. Like, I needed years of training. I wasn't ready. That was just a lucky job. Like, everyone, when I got done, was like, you should go around and hustle and get another job. I'm like, I'm not ready. I'm not a stunt woman yet. Like, for me, it was realizing that I was there already. Like, I was capable of doing it. So that, for me, it took me a minute to and I still train hard, and I have this motto of like, I'll never be good enough. And that's not the way it sounds.
No, I get that.
That's just the way no matter what I do, it's not that it's not good enough. It's just that I could probably make it better.
For sure. It's like similar to my idea that every day I wake up and I'm a beginner. Yeah. And I'm constantly in this beginning stage of becoming my best self. Yeah. Because I feel like it leaves room for you to constantly grow. And I'm so addicted to growth. And it's never to discredit all of what I've already experienced and what I've, developed. But I really live with this idea that I can always ask more of myself, and I can always I can gain more, but the starting point to that is to be looking in that direction.
Right.
And if the door is closed, if you think that you've already fucking hit it and nailed it, well, you've now closed the door. So
yeah,
I
now
think
what?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's inspiring to wake up and be like, kind of living from that mindset, right?
Yeah. And I have to be careful sometimes because I can be very intense when I'm training. I am very intense when I'm training. And like when I'm training somebody else, I have to really, because you have to know your audience. And it's more like, do I want to help this person and how can I help them? Like what's going to work for them better, Yeah. And sometimes I get into my mode of being very intense. And one day my sister, she was learning a new skill and she had done it and she'd nailed it. And she's like, well, what do you think? And I go, looks pretty good, but you know what? It'll never be good enough. And what I was trying to say was like, good job. Keep working it. Like you add a twist, like whatever, like the sky's the limit. Like, there's always room, like you said, to grow, but it just came out like, well, it's never going to be good enough. So she jokes with me all the time. She's like, hey, Heidi, I just got this huge job. I did some of the biggest stunts of my life, but I'll never be good enough.
How cute. Wait, what's the age difference between you guys?
We're 9 years.
9 years?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so rad. No, I love that mentality though. You want to keep, it's like it keeps we were talking about this too. It's like, I feel like it adds to this, purpose, like living with purpose. Like me and my brothers, one of the things that we say is like, we're fucking chasing excellence, and it's never to discredit. And
excellence is fast, like you got to get down if you're going to chase excellence. You got to like be parkour, parkour in your life.
Parkour in your life, right? Maybe that's where the tie-in to agility is too. Yeah. It's like, you need to be like always ready to go, and like, how are you preparing yourself to stay in this state of readiness for anything? One of the things that I came up with, people ask me a lot, what do you train for? Do you compete? And I'm not competitive. I don't train in any sport. When I was younger, I ran and I wanted to like go to the Olympics. It was this whole thing. And then I started surfing and like that all changed,
Hey, that's not a bad,
not
a bad trade-off.
No, it all happened how it should. But, when people ask me that, like the truth is I'm like, well, I just train for life, and everything that I do physically there's such a deeper layer to it than, I want the physiological benefits of it, but it's so stripped down towards like preparing my mind and, just myself to be able to endure and pursue this life of, passion and purpose and vision. Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, and kind of going back to this whole parkour thing. I mean, like, I'm kind of kidding because I feel like chasing excellence, like, there's a balance there too. Like, part of chasing excellence is forgiving yourself once in a while, and not like I was talking to my business partner Lisa Newman today, I think, about the importance of vacation. I'm getting ready to go on a vacation. The importance of like taking that time for yourself. And if you're just going to spend your whole life, like say I'm chasing excellence all day long, day long. Like at some point you're going to burn out or you're going to miss an opportunity.
Right.
Like half the time when you settle down and take a breather, something pops up. It happened to me this summer, like pops up in your view and you're like, oh, glad I didn't go do that other thing. Glad I just took a breather.
Yeah. Well, that's rad. I mean, Hoist Gracie, he said...
Never heard of him.
No. Right? That was like one of the greatest things I've ever heard is resting is training. Yeah. And I think that could be hard for people like yourself and I, where it's like, I mean, I honor my rest and I honor my recovery and I honor that kind of those periodic moments of slowing down. But I am aggressive and I do love fucking chasing that excellence. Yeah. But actually, let's go there for a second with you because I would love to know, with all the physicality that you ask of yourself in your day-to-day life, like what is some things that you do for recovery? Like,
So I recently been using a PEMF mat, and I find that potentially it's doing great things for my body, but what I really notice if I use it on a regular basis and I use it for the 8 minutes twice a day or whatever, if I can get that in, my energy levels are really steady and good. Like I feel good throughout the day. So that to me that's been a kind of a game changer. We were talking about turmeric earlier. Yeah. That's a huge one for me as far as anti-inflammatory goes. Yeah. And when I'm on my mark with that, like that,
you feel.
Yeah. I mean, my sister had 2 knee surgeries, and the one before this last one, she was taking all the anti-inflammatories and doing what she should have been doing. And she went back to work a little bit early and ended up having to have surgery again. So the second time, she's been like a turmeric freak, and it like the whole time, like her knee was good to go.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's
real.
It's real. It's amazing what these things do for you if you actually use real foods and components to that we have in the environment, in the universe, not just chemicals, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's there.
Yeah. So let's see what else. I'm a big chlorella person. Like I really like
algae.
Yeah, algae. I'm a big green veggie person. I do a lot of green smoothies and stuff. I love yoga, and I think for me, if I can do my hard yoga class once a week, it keeps me from like getting stiff. Like somehow that one class really just
it keeps it all together.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about yoga.
Yeah, it's just, and also it's your instructor and the kind of yoga you're doing. So
absolutely,
I love this class at Soho Yoga, and Danae. I don't know if I can say all this, but Danae is the most amazing teacher on the planet.
Yeah,
I go to that class, and it's hot and it's hard. Like, it is a power yoga class. It is one of the hardest yoga classes I've ever taken. But when you walk out of there, you feel like you worked out your body and you've had a soul massage at the same time. Like, somehow,
love that. Yeah, like little kisses to your butt, like your insides. Where you just feel like. Yeah. You just feel more elevated. Yeah, I love Danae. I love Tracy.
Yeah. But something about her and the way she speaks and her energy in general that she puts out into the room. It's just, to me, that's one of the best classes I've ever taken. She's just
We've probably
insane.
been in class together.
Probably.
I'm like not known.
And now there's not going to be a spot for us anymore. We just sent everybody there. But still, it's great.
What about morning rituals? Like, how do you start your day?
So something I have not been good with in the last few months, I've been traveling a bunch and all over the place, and I feel it in my soul right now that I need my ritual back. So I'm a big fan of 5 a.m. wake up when it's still dark, burning a candle, not turning the lights on. I like to make a pot of like green tea, something like really earthy.
Yeah.
And I like to read. And I like to sit and read by candlelight or write in my journal and drink this tea. And I'm not a morning person, so for me, that wake up time it's super important. Like, if someone starts talking to me early in the morning, I have to really fight my urge to snap.
Well, wait. I have to plant this seed then, because I'm literally the same way. I love the kiss of darkness just before light, like waking up, because you're a fucking head of it.
Peaceful.
It's so peaceful. Yeah. Light my candle, have my journal. I've been writing for the majority of my life, right? Love reading. So it's like journaling, meditation, reading. And I don't want to fucking talk to anybody. And here's why. Because I'm in a moment with myself. I'm in a trance. It's not like I'm not in a good mood. I feel really good, actually. Right. But it's like, this is my solitude and my peace. And I feel like the minute I start engaging outside, it takes me away from that. So is it that for you?
Totally. So it's sort of like watching animals in the wild, right? So they don't actually speak. I mean, they make noises and stuff, but they communicate by intention, by looking at each other, by movement and stuff. And I think it's kind of like that, where you get that animal piece of you that's like connecting to the earth. Like, I have dogs and I have cats, and like when we get up in the morning, let the dogs out and go do their thing, because they like to run and play and bark and do whatever but the cats will sit in the window. I'll open the window, they'll sit there by the candlelight, and they're super quiet, and their little pads barely make any noise anywhere, and they have this little like calming sort of aura of like this, we're in this sacred space. And I almost feel like
that's rad.
So I absolutely think there's something to that, and words, it's really hard to articulate how you feel sometimes, right? We have words, but they don't always work. Right. And so there's something about that too. Like, we use a ton of words for a ton of things, and what do they even mean? It's just content everywhere, right.
So true.
I think that's my favorite, when I can get in that mode. But I also have to go to bed early to do that. Otherwise
that's the hard part,
zonked,
for most people. Yeah, I know. And so you've been, essentially, your life has been just nonstop travel, I feel like, right? Like, for the better part of your life. You've done some major fucking films, woman. Like, you're incredible.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's impressive. Your resume is gnarly. And I know, we were just talking about how now you're coming to a place where you'll be able, hopefully, to kind of be home more and kind of get into a routine, so you can do your, all these things that make you feel really good, right?
Yeah. You have a couple things hopefully in the coming up that if they go, that means I can probably stick around for a little while, and they're big projects and they're great projects. And they're, advancing my career and my life. So it's all good as long as it all works out. But yeah, that's the thing is like, I'm so blessed. I've gotten to work on some of the biggest films out there. I've gotten to double some amazing people. I mean, I normally double Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
We've worked together for like 10 years. She's an amazing woman, such a pleasure to work with. And I feel so blessed to have had that. But it's taken me away from, we live in the South Bay. It's this gorgeous, I come home and I'm like, I can't believe I live here when I live here. It's just,
when you live here,
it's beautiful,
Yeah.
And now I have animals and I have, my niece lives with my sister and I, so we have her in high school and all this stuff. So there's so many reasons for me not to go away now. That it's nice, the idea of sticking home,
Yeah, totally. I know I'm about that because I've spent so much of my life traveling as well. And now I feel like, I'm like, I don't mind being home.
Yeah.
I love being home. I mean, by the way, where we live is fucking epic. But I think it's more of just getting into a sense of routine, especially when you have a life, like in my life too, my career life, it's like there's no Monday through Friday.
Right.
It's fucking all over.
Yeah.
You're here now, you're on a plane tomorrow, and it happens that fast, literally, right? So it's like, it's almost like chaos needs a safe place to land. Like you need some kind of normalcy, I think that's the word, to allow you to keep living this like spontaneous, action-filled fucking life.
Well, I love routine. So for me, and ritual. I love routine and ritual. But like for me, when I can get into that mode, I'm the happiest, So once I'm, like you say, all over the place, flying all over here, not in my normal routine, staying up too late or sleeping in too long or whatever it is, I just don't feel my best self,
Well, you probably, I think, as a athlete your whole life, you said you were like aiming for the Olympics, right, with gymnastics. Discipline has been like this, has been a through line, like it's been very constant in your life, right?
Absolutely. And I guess that's true. Going with that, it's like you're so disciplined to train, get up, have your routine, eat all your food that you're supposed to eat, go to bed when you're supposed to go to bed. So when things go awry, it's like, is this okay? Is this okay? Am I doing it right? But actually, this summer, like I was working on a film or a TV show in town for a few months and jumping back and forth on a few little movie like things here and there. And I was offered the opportunity to like be home and relax a little bit and actually get out of my routine, which was good too. So I was able to go and do the things I didn't let myself do for a long time. I'd go out to dinner with my friends, or I would go and have a bunch of drinks one night and, and let that be okay that in the morning I slept in because, had too many glasses of wine. That kind of thing is like kind of important as well. Yeah. Because if you let yourself kind of have those moments, those months, whatever, then when you finally decide to like jump back in full force, like you don't feel like your whole life has just been work.
I love that. And I also think that there's something, and it's very kind of Bruce Lee, but, it's this idea that like systems, like I think there's so much value in system and routine, and I am just like you, I love mine, but I also love to deviate from it here and there, and even things that are actually really good for me, like maybe I can't meditate today, maybe I'm gonna skip it because I'm gonna actually just go have coffee with one of my best friends. But I never want to be reliant on the system or the routine to feel like I'm pulled together as much as I want to be able to just rely on myself and, being agile and being spontaneous, and know that even if I fucking take a hard left over here, I'm still going to be strong and be able to kind of bounce right back into everything. So I think that the big takeaway there is just not to allow yourself the freedom, the flexibility to essentially live and not be reliant even on things that, do bring out the best in you.
Well, I think it's part of that whole notion of experience the now, be in the now, enjoy where you're at, because that allows you to take those days and be like, I'm just gonna have coffee and I'm gonna enjoy the hell out of it because I love this person and maybe I'm gonna have a lot of energy. Maybe I'll run later. I don't know. I've really, really tried to adopt that policy because, for the longest time, especially being an athlete, you're like, here's my goal. I'm just gonna do this, this, and this, and be like this until I get there. Just this until you don't always take the time to enjoy the moment. And I've even allowed myself to enjoy, flying quotes, some things that were not enjoyable in my life. Because I was like, if you can find a way to enjoy this or be grateful for it or understand what it is, then you realize that life is about experiences, good and bad.
Yes.
You know, it's not about how much money you make. It's not about how great you are at something or how many movies you've been in, right? It's about, how do I feel right now sitting on this couch talking to you? Do I feel great about this? Am I enjoying this? Like, this is awesome. This is a break from my normal chaos. Like, I get to sit here and have an awesome conversation, some amazing coffee. You know,
Four Sigmatic.
Yeah, thank you, Four Sigmatic. Plug. Just kidding. Anyway, yeah, I think that's really important to rely on the experience of your life. Because, you know, you watch people die every day. And people are getting older and dying too. That's going to happen to all of us. And so it's really important to make sure that you make your mark and you really do have a place on this earth. You're not just some person that's plugged in trying to get somewhere, you know? Yeah,
totally. Well, I think that when you're operating in a state of presence, you're really solidifying that. Like, I'm here with purpose and I'm living on purpose, right? That feels so much better than just like kind of being in the matrix and going through the motions. I mean, I love, and it sounds so morbid, but I love to remind myself, like, hey, you're going to die one day. Mm-hmm. Like, this is not infinite. Not that I know of. Like, maybe there's another life after this. I don't fucking know. But, like, in this Roxanne, you know, like, this shit's going to end soon. So, like, what are you doing about it? And it really helps me to be braver and to, like, move what I call seek the fight. Like, I move towards things that are going to make me uncomfortable. And to go back to what we were saying, I also allow myself to fucking just put my hair down sometimes and be like, all right, like, let's deviate. Let's do something off the cuff and, you know, whatever, like, just enjoy, basically.
Yeah. Well, interesting to say doing things that make you uncomfortable, because I, having been such a serious gymnast for so long, I was very good at one thing, and I tended to pick other things up pretty fast, but I wasn't used to doing things and not being excellent, because I never did anything else but gymnastics, you know? Yeah. And so I remember the point where I was like, okay, I got to be okay with not being okay with something so that I can learn. And in taking from that, like, now I look for things I suck at, because honestly, what a great opportunity, you know? We're like going back to saying we're here for experience. Like, what are we really doing here? We're here to enjoy life, to experience life, to evolve and grow. So how do you do that? Do you just stick with what you know, or do you go out there and look like an idiot once in a while because you're not good at something so that you can actually become good at it? You know, I think it's a really good policy to adopt, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's how humans evolved, right? Yeah. Like, we had to experience challenge to grow. And now, I mean, things are so much easier than they've ever been. So it's like, if you don't go out of your way to seek discomfort and things that are going to challenge you to grow, then, I mean, you're not growing, and you're just kind of slowly fucking dying, I think, through life. But
it's like existing in the in the same place.
Well, sorry, something just came to my mind as you were saying that, because I'm thinking, like, okay, hold on, let's back up for a second. Like, you're a fucking badass female. You get into, you know, being a stunt woman, which is such a male dominated fucking situation, right? And like, how did that feel? Because this is where my mind went when you're like, you know, you got to be able to like suck and like even like not look good at something.
Yeah. It's got to be okay.
How was that for you to enter this very male dominated industry, arena, whatever we want to call it, like all the above, as a woman, and coming in and doing like very physical, gnarly things?
I mean, honestly, I have to say that the men that were around on the first few movies that I was on were just really great guys. Like, yeah, it's male dominated in the sense that like there's a lot more males than there are females, and you know, there's good and bad people all over the place. So I wouldn't want to say that one gender was, you know, harder on the other or whatnot. But there was this thing coming in where like, when you hire a woman, we want to make sure she's tough and can hit the ground. She's not going to cry, and she's not getting the job just because she's a girl, kind of thing. So there's this like sense of needing to prove yourself. Yeah. And so I did feel that. But I had this thing where I looked around and I'm like, I don't want to be good for a girl. I just want to be good. Like, I want them to look at me and think this is a talented person. I don't want them to be like, well, she's really good girl, a good stunt girl, you know?
Yeah.
And so there was a day when one of my teammates basically was like, yeah, Heidi Moneymaker? Yeah, she's the best stuntman I know. And then everyone kind of gave him shit about it. I'm like, no, that's actually like the biggest compliment he could have given me, because he's saying like, I look at her the same as I look at everyone else.
Yeah, totally.
But then going back to what we were talking about earlier, I remember looking around and, you know, I was new. So I was trying to like see how each person acted and what, you know, the process of how everything worked. And I remember seeing a lot of stunt women who I felt, and I might be wrong, but I felt like they were trying to kind of act like the guys to fit in with the guys. And I thought, well, that's kind of a mistake, because you're a woman and you're feminine, and so it's important to, you know, and if that's their personality, that's cool. But I just wanted to be my own feminine self, and also fit in. I wanted to be a woman who fit in the industry, not necessarily with the guys. So, you know, like I wore pink, and like I love heels, like I love wearing dresses. I'm all about that stuff, but at the same time, I can wear like just a t-shirt and a pair of gi pants, and you know,
gi pants.
Yeah, like sweaty hair, disgusting, kick the shit out of stuff, you know. Like,
which is so sexy though too, because ultimately I think it's like just I'm comfortable in being me, and I'm also capable. I mean, capable is one of my favorite words, right? Like you're not even thinking of yourself as like, I'm a girl, I'm not a girl. You're just like, I just want to do this. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, my toughest obstacle has always been myself, because in the end of the day, like I've always looked at it like that. Like I can be faster, stronger, better. I can do more. But it's the second you start really competing with somebody else is when you crumble, because you're constantly looking at them instead of looking at you. Yeah. You know? So that to me is a thing too, is like, I think I was always in my own space of like, I can be better, I can be stronger, I can train like a girl, you know, for me. So Lisa and I own this company, Fierce Lotus Fitness, and we put on the back of all of our shirts, or a lot of them, train like a girl, because Nike had this campaign a few years ago, and they asked all these kids, like, what does it mean to run like a girl? And most of the kids were like, you know, saying, well, maybe you're knock-kneed, or you don't go as fast, or, you know, all these things. And this one little girl got up there and she's like, it means that you can run really fast and you can beat the boy. Like, she just went on this whole rant about like run like a girl, and what it means to her was something completely different than what all these other kids were thinking. So for us, train like a girl is like train like a girl. Like, if you can train like us, then you can train like a girl.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wait, can we talk about your company a little bit more?
Of course.
Like, I'd love to learn more about.
So Lisa, Paul Newman, and I started a company called Fierce Lotus Fitness. And we were both training at a kickboxing gym and doing kind of privates with this guy we both knew, but we didn't know each other. And he was basically like, you need to meet this girl that I train. She needs to meet you. You guys should train together. You're the only two women I've ever worked with that want to train like this. Like, you guys are both gnarly. So he introduced us and we hit it off right away. And so our relationship was basically like, our friendship was never like going to lunch or whatever. It was like, we each had like an hour out of the day and be like, let's go train. And we'd kick pads, or, you know, we started making up these hybrid workouts. So she was a fitness instructor for a million years, been in the fitness industry as a fitness model and stuff for a long time. And, you know, I've been doing a lot of sports myself and a lot of actor training and fights and stuff. So we started coming up with these workouts, and they were like a whole hybrid of like strength supersets, and then high intensity action fight cardio scenes that we were doing, either kicking the pads or actually doing fight scenes with each other. And then our active rest would be a yoga flow. And so it'd be this really hard, but amazing, like challenging, but great workout. And then once in a while we'd train, like, we bring one of our friends in, and everyone's like, you guys should do something with this because this is awesome. So we started the Action Star workout program, and it's sort of based off of how... Action Star workout program, yeah. So it's based off how we train actors when they come in, they walk in the door and say, I need to be an action star. It's sort of from the ground up, but it's now been turned into this hybrid, you know, high intensity cardio / strength and yoga workout. So it's online and streaming. We have a teacher training program as well, but we're getting ready to branch out and hire on some trainers and get a little studio going. So
that's so exciting.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. It's really fun.
It's such a great time for it too. We're like in the transformation economy, and I feel like, you know, now with like MMA and, you know, just martial arts being where it is, fighting being where it is, it's such a great time, because I think you know, performance is so attractive, right? So it's not just like being strong or doing this one thing, but it's like everything in motion. Like, how can you utilize all of it, right? Which is essentially what you've been fucking doing for the majority of your life at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like putting all the pieces together.
Oh, right. Absolutely.
That's
and
so
sort of something that like a lot of a lot of the times I take away from training an actress and getting her ready for a film is that she'll come in not having ever like thrown a punch or really known much about it, and by the end of it she's fighting all these guys, and granted it's film fighting, but it's still hard, and it's still like you still get banged up, and you're still punching people, even if you're pulling a punch a little bit, and they have this sense of like, oh my god, I can't believe I can do that, like I can't believe that this I've turned into this little fighter girl. So for me, that was a big thing. It's something that translates into doing these classes and in this program is like, you take a woman that's never hit anything before, and she's able to go in, and we're actually in the process of creating a heavy bag version. Heavy bag version, yeah. Cool. So having like people come in and like women come in and just being able to like throw elbows into a bag and feel strong and maybe capable of like, if someone ever were to attack them, at least I don't know, I wouldn't throw a punch, but they could elbow someone in the chin and run. I mean, just to know that like you're not completely helpless
for sure
is a big deal.
To become connected and familiar with that, it's really like a primal part of you, right? Like I feel like, you know, I've been training jiu-jitsu for 9 years. You know, I think as humans, we're just designed to be able to fight, right? Like for our life, like whether we technically are or not, like it's within us. That's why I think a lot of us appreciate fighting, right? I think for a woman, it's a really interesting thing because, you know, it's not like we grew up with female gladiators, right? Like we haven't seen that. Now we're starting to see that so much more, but I feel like what you're doing, what your company, what you ladies are doing is allowing women to really feel that connection to this primal fucking instinct that we have to fight, you know?
Right. Well, you know this too, is like confidence is your first defense, right? Yeah. So like if I'm walking down an alley and my arms are covered up, you know, I'm short. So like if I'm walking down an alley and I'm covered up and it's nighttime and I'm kind of like looking around, looking like I'm scared or nervous or whatever, I'm a target. Like someone's like, yep, 100%. She doesn't know what she's doing. But if I walk down the alley and I'm like jingling my keys and I look someone straight in the eye, I'm like, you gonna fuck with me? Is that what you're about to do?
Girl,
there's nothing they're gonna do to me, right?
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing I think they take out of this is they're walking down the street going, I'm strong.
Yeah,
I can defend myself. I'm powerful. So then it translates into their being, basically. You know?
It's so true. I think that's one of the greatest things. Before I started training jiu-jitsu, like growing up with 3 brothers, and I'm the older sister, even though we're so close in age. But you know, I was always a tough girl, like straight up. I was the girl in school that I was always laughing. I was friends with everybody, but for some reason, you knew not to fuck with me because I didn't have to carry myself.
I would not fuck with you.
I wouldn't fuck with you.
I walked in, I was like pretty strong.
But like laughing and smiling all the time, but there's this thing that just underneath it all is like, no. And I think about that too, like what you're saying. I think about how many people, you know, potential predators that I've already beat in my life, like who have, I mean, it's sad, or not sad, but it's scary to say that, but it's true. Like in just walking down the street and all that, like crazy, like living in New York for all those, like how many people have eyeballed me and then fucking look the other way?
I'm not gonna pick her.
And I know, because I know how I carry myself, especially if I feel I'm super like I'm fucking sensitive, you know?
Yeah.
I can feel things, and if I feel something, like I posture up. It's a whole different.
It's like Animal Kingdom, right? So a lot of animals, they like fluff up, right? They make themselves big, whether it's a cat or like whatever animal it is. They always like puff themselves huge, like I'm huge, get away from me. And it's the same thing. It's like
gorillas.
Yes.
Like it's a real thing. I always use that exact analogy. Fucking Animal Kingdom, and I let you know, like,
I mean, we're animals.
We are animals.
Yeah.
I veered off. Where was I going? There was
how many people that you have not chosen to fight you?
There was something before that where I was going, but jiu-jitsu. I was a tough girl, and then you get into jiu-jitsu and you're like, wait, what? Like you do the trap and roll for the first time. You're like, what the fuck? I've been so vulnerable. Like, this is insane. All I had to do was this. And in reality, like, if some guy was trying to choke me, like, I try and use all my force and my strength, but really, like, that's not going to help me, you know? I want to ask you about martial arts a little bit. How many disciplines in martial arts have you been fucking doing?
So it's interesting because what happens really is, like, I've gone out and taken classes. I started off taking kickboxing, I think. I did a little bit of wushu with a stuntwoman named Ming Liu, and she's amazing. She's from China. She's like national team wushu, like kung fu, basically. And she taught me some kicks and some cool stuff. I'm not good at wushu. It's hard. And from there went on to like a little more Filipino style martial arts. And what happens is you tend to train for what the film is. So train, or if you're interested in something, you might go out and try it yourself. But a lot of times it would be like, I'm getting ready for a film and I know the style is going to be like this. So I go and start training with instructors. So I'm a white belt and everything, which I'm not really.
You're like, so cute. But you've tasted and you've touched and you've incorporated.
Yeah. So like in jiu-jitsu, like I don't know where I would test, but I definitely wouldn't test as a white belt. But I've never been like officially in a class long enough to earn stripes and whatnot. I've done a bunch of judo. Yeah. We've done kali, Japanese swords. I mean, I've done a lot of different. Which
I think is so rad, just to be able to. So I grew up like Laura Croft, Shatara. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like, these were my like. I want to be like you,
right?
And it's essentially like what you do. It's like you're the one that I'm looking up to. Like I want to be like her because you're the one really. No, it's so sick. Like in researching you, I'm like, it's not. It's Heidi. Heidi's the one that I'm like looking
doing some
up.
Crazy stuff. Yeah,
just a little crazy, like fucking awesome. It's so rad. But so I think like I would like to be able to have a grip, just even a little taste of all of these elements to me is so much more gratifying than like. I don't know. This is just me personally. Like some people want to like kill it in one space, but to me, like. That's just so much more exciting. Like you've tasted.
Helps you be a little more creative because I do a lot of fight coordinating and stuff as well. So for me, if I can learn a new discipline, even if it's just like a little piece of it for a little while, it helps me because like you're going into a room and you're trying to create art. And so I don't want to take 5 techniques from the same school and make a fight piece because that's just training. That's like, being in class. What I want to do is I want to make something that's a painted picture. All of a sudden you're like, whoa, did she just use that scarf to choke that guy out? Like what happened? How did that work? And it's nice to bring it back to the actual. It's nice to bring it back to Sealat and be like, that's a real thing. Like they have a whole scarf situation, right?
That's amazing.
So that's the kind of stuff I like to do. I like to take pieces of actual, discipline and paint it with a color,
Yeah, put your special kind of touch on it. And I think one thing that maybe people don't really think about, but it's so true that with what you do, you have to really embody the character also. Like, it's not just like, oh, the physical, I'm throwing the punch, I'm doing the thing, but it's like, you have to fucking get into who you are performing as, right?
Right.
So how is that for you?
I think that is a technique that anybody in my line of work should adopt because now stunts used to be really separate from acting. So like the way it used to work was like you'd come in and there's a fight and then the guy throws the actor over the counter and then they do all this piece and then you just jump over the counter. Like there wasn't performance. Now it's all about performance. There's elaborate fight scenes. There's so much going on and it's no longer I get thrown through a window. It's I do an entire fight scene as a master. The actor comes in and does their pieces of this, and then we cut together what works best. So I forget where I was going with this.
But just embodying the character.
Oh, yeah, embodying the character. So for me, it's really important that, say, Scarlett and I are working together, that I'm not trying to be her. We are trying to be Black Widow. And so I will try to walk like her, like she does for the character. She tries to fight like a little edgy like me. Like we really try to create a character and not make it so separate. And I've talked to a lot of actresses about this too. When I'm choreographing, it's like, I need your input a little bit too, because I want to know where your mind's at. Like if I'm going to choreograph for you, I get so irritated when I look at a fight and it's just like a bunch of fight moves. Yeah. And it doesn't pertain to the story. So I want to know, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you thinking? Where are you at? What would you do here? Like, granted, it's a collaborative effort, but it's really important to understand. Like for me, story is everything. You can go to a play and it's just an empty room and you can be moved to tears. And that's because there's story there and there's feeling there. And that's something that needs to be in everything that we use for performance for sure.
Has that been one of the most inspiring elements to what you do as a stunt woman?
I mean, I think, what's really cool, and I've had actresses tell me this, and I know this because when I play a character and do the stunts for it, there's something to that. Like it's nice to have the team and work together and have stunt doubles and everything, and you always do because I have a huge scar on my head, and I got blown through a window one time and it got cut open and everything. You can't do that to an actor. Like one, you don't want to do that to anybody, but two, you shut down production.
Right.
Maybe ever, like it's like a liability thing. So there's always going to be doubles. But the times that I've played my own characters, I've really been able to get into the choreography and really been able to get into the piece because now I'm embodying this whole thing.
Right.
I'm not just trying to like get a little piece of what's happening with someone else's process,
Yeah.
So that's kind of been something really fun for me. Yeah.
That's amazing. What has been one of the hardest things about acting and being a stunt woman for you?
Well, I mean, one of the hardest things is travel. We talked about that, being away from home a lot. I am, from my stories about being a child, like I'm so high energy, and I like to, even if it means that I can sit and meditate, like I want to be doing stuff. Yeah. Even if doing stuff means doing nothing, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So one of the hardest things for me is being on set for like 8 or 10 hours a day and just kind of being there while we're waiting to get to a point where I'm supposed to perform or help somebody with something or whatever. Because then you kind of get the boredom thing. Like it's not as... Most of the crew has to be on set and be paying attention all the time and be ready to go. There's no like sitting in your trailer and effing off kind of thing. So you're on set and you could get kind of bored, and then there's the snack table full of like tons of stuff. So you have to like deal with not eating all these amazing donuts and stuff. Yeah. Whatever else they bring out. 'Cause it's always fancy, yummy food. I mean, we're really good in LA, like in other places too. Bringing healthy snacks, but still like, that's hard too. Cause you're like, I'm bored. I'm not doing anything. So I might as well just go eat these chips.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That I pour out of the bag. I know the second you did this, I was like, nah.
No community.
I don't need community chips, actually. I only have individual package ones.
Too. Oh my God, that's amazing. I know, I bring all my food. I still relate to that just in the makeup part of my career life where it's like, man, there are times where, you're just sitting, especially on commercials. I mean, I always have to watch, but like, it's not always the best use of my energy and
right.
Yeah. So
and
that
that's
could be
hard.
one of the hardest aspects too.
Seems weird, but it's hard.
Yeah. Well, now you're getting into like a new territory in your career life, right?
Yeah.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been stunt coordinating. I mean, I've been doing a lot of basically assistant stunt coordinating and assistant fight coordinating for years and years because just as my personality goes, I like to, be involved and help and whatever. But now I'm actually in title stunt coordinating. And that just kind of started this year, which has been great. I actually was one of the stunt coordinators for a movie called The Hunt, which is not coming out now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's been really controversial. It's one of those things where like, in the ads it's talking about hunting humans, and obviously like we have a lot going on right now with all these shootings, and but ultimately like it's ultimately there's a good story there. Like I shouldn't talk too much about this, but it's it's one of those things where it's not just people hunting humans. It's obviously there's more to it than that. Anyway, that was a fun movie to work on because I got to choreograph this huge fight between these two people, and it was amazing. And then I coordinated something this summer, this TV show that was also really fun. I got to coordinate a car chase and stuff, and so all that's really great. And I'm really looking forward to continuing this this upward climb because ultimately I really would like to direct.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm a creative. Like sometimes with my business with Lisa, thank God she's a financial person and she's so great because I'll be like, paint this picture, paint that picture, let's do this, let's do that. And she's like, cool. Yeah, okay, that's all great. But slow down for a second because we should probably like monetize some of this. I'm like, no.
You have all the ideas, all the creativity.
I'm like, let's put 10 grand into this. And she's like, yes, but are we going to do that for a reason other than it's cool? I'm like, huh.
You're like, oh yeah.
I guess. Yeah. So, I'm really, I love the creative side of the film industry. I love telling stories. I love bringing something out of a person, like, really bringing colors out of them. It's all colors for me for some reason, but
I love that. I can appreciate
it's like
that.
painting.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
You're evoking emotion.
Yeah.
You
know what? That's really interesting because for the first part of my life, I was trying to suppress my emotion at all times. So
really,
well, started gymnastics at 5 or 6, and it's a very like there's no crying in baseball. Yeah. There's no crying in gymnastics. Like
in the way.
It's very intense, and you have to be very tough in order to get to a certain point, and you just understand that. And there's, your coaches get mad at you, and you're not allowed to react or have emotion. And if you do, you get in trouble. Yeah. And it sounds bad, but like that's just kind of the way it was growing up. And, you know, my parents are amazing. They are effing the best people on the planet. And they gave up everything so that we could do gymnastics. I mean, I can't say enough about how great my parents are. But there's 7 kids. Like, at some point, it's like, are you bleeding? Because if you are, put a butterfly band-aid on it. I'm busy. Like, there was not a whole lot of, like, you know, Mom, I'm upset about something. Can you talk to me? Like, she would come to me and be like, are you upset? Do you need something? What do you need? How can we? Okay, cool. Yeah. Got to go handle the baby. You know, there was like a lot of that. And then, you know, same thing kind of into college. And I remember being about 25. I'd just gotten out of college and I was dating somebody at the time. And I think he's like, something happened and I didn't react like you normally would react. And he's like, it's like you don't have emotion. And I was like, what? Are you serious? I'm like, that's crazy. And then I thought about it. I'm like, well, I do. I have a lot of emotion inside of me. I'm very passionate, but I've spent a lot of time just holding it inside because I've not been allowed to express it. So maybe that's why now I'm just like, paint everything, create everything, make it big and purple. Make it
big. That's exciting though. Like, it's exciting to kind of discover these things about yourself and then, you know, operate from almost like it seems like a new layer, but in this case it's not. It's just something that's been kind of maybe
it's
bottled
a deep layer.
It's a deep layer for sure. Yeah, I mean, it also, like, that makes me think of how you've kind of maneuvered through vulnerability in your life. Like, I say very often that vulnerability is like my springboard to my strength. Like, there's no competition between them. They actually really work together. I use this example a lot. Like, I one of my favorite movies ever is The Gladiator. And, you know, when you're watching him, he's fucking vulnerable through the whole movie, you know, but he's such a badass hero and he's so strong. And I think it's a great example of just showing how, you know, they don't have to be separate from each other. Like, they can exist together. And in my personal life, like, I feel like one of the things that makes me so fucking strong is that I honor my vulnerability. I lean into it. I do not suppress it, but I don't let it become the whole fucking story.
Right.
That's huge for me.
Well, there's balance with everything, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, I've said this recently too, because I'm not a big crier. It kind of takes, obviously it takes me a lot to cry.
I don't cry a lot either. Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with it.
Well, that's the thing. When I do cry, I feel like that is a strength for me now, that I'm able to, I'm able to let myself be emotional in that way where, and I've become, it's come to a point where I'm okay with it. Like, I was recently in San Diego and we happened to go into this like tapas place, and this woman, she's an older, I think, Hispanic lady, and really good energy and really seemed very happy and whatever, but she was singing and she was very good, and she started singing I think it's called I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston.
Oh yeah.
Is that the title of the song? And you know,
I don't know if it's
song from The Bodyguard,
just
that song's hard to sing. Like, those notes, like, to be high and clean like that. I know.
Yeah, like you're.
So she started singing, and literally she sounded like Whitney Houston. Like, people were just like, this is Whitney Houston reincarnated.
That's
like,
amazing.
It's insane. And I started kind of tearing up, and then I was like, oh, because I'm, you know, not alone. And then I'm at a restaurant. And so I'm like, oh, I should probably not cry. And then I'm like, no, fuck that. This is moving me to tears. Why wouldn't I allow myself to cry? And so I literally let myself, like, the tears were like running down my face. I'm like, that was beautiful. And everyone's like, oh my God, are you crying?
I love that.
Yes, I'm crying because that was beautiful.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about it, like, when you really get into these major roles as a director, like, you want people to cry, I'm sure.
Yeah, you want to evoke that feeling.
You want to fucking impact. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's interesting, you know, with the podcast. So I'm most definitely very introverted. Like, a lot of people don't get that about me, but because I'm not uncomfortable in crowds or groups, but like I'm not someone who's very motivated by being like, hey, everybody, look at me, at all. But when I walk in a room, I'll take up space only because I'm comfortable in myself.
Right.
And that, you read that on people really loudly, I think. But, you know, I think one of the things about being a podcast host now and having a brand and writing all this stuff, it's like the hardest part for me is that being seen is a part of it, right? Mm-hmm. But for me, what I really aim to do with my life work is to be felt, you know? So it's not even about being seen. It's not even about being heard. It's about being felt, because when you feel someone or what they're putting out, what they've created, that's real impact, right? Versus just, I don't know.
It's like that quote, people don't remember what you did, they remember how you made them feel.
100%.
And that's so true. Is like, it's really about, you're right, it's completely about feeling.
Yeah. I mean, this is I'm more than a woman. You're more than a woman. We are a fucking experience.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
So true, right? Like, we're conduits of energy. We're affecting each other. I'm giving you an experience right now. You're giving me, we're giving the people listening an experience. And so I actually think that, when you really kind of look at it from that perspective of like, oh shit, I'm an experience, it actually can make you be more present in how you are maneuvering through your life, how you're affecting people. The person who brought you your coffee, like, are you saying thank you and like really thanking them, or you're just kind of like, huh, thanks, whatever. But
it's really interesting because I have this book and I cannot think of the author's name now. I feel like Emoto is part of his name, whether it's the first or last. He's Japanese, and he started doing all this research on frozen water crystals. And you know about this, right?
Yeah.
So that like he started with music and all, like classical music, anything that was like had a pleasant, lovely,
vibration.
Vibration, made these elaborate crystals and like death metal on some of these, not to say that this stuff is bad, I'm just saying this is what happened.
Yeah.
It tended to not create a crystal at all. It was like this fractured ice, and so it went so far as to like him saying words, the vibration of the word would change the crystal, and then even the intention of a card that he would place, writing on like he'd write love on a card and put it near water, and the intention of that would change the crystals, which is like insane.
That's amazing.
I should give you this book because it is insane. Like that is crazy if you really think about it, right? So if you think about how much water is in your body right now, right? And so if I'm sitting here saying lovely things to you all day, and the water in your body is producing this amazing crystals that's in harmony with your your body, right?
Yeah.
Versus if I'm saying horrible things to you or negative things to you, right? So it's interesting to think about the world we live in now, where everyone's just on their phone by themselves.
Right.
So what's happening when you're looking on your phone and there's trolls on your Instagram, or you're looking at somebody else and you're thinking something shitty about, you're like, I'm so fat, like that girl's so beautiful and I'm fat and I hate myself. So now you're doing it to yourself, right? It's just, there's no wonder there's so much depression and suicide right now.
No, it's so true. It's so true. I think one of the greatest things that I've ever offered myself is really becoming, I don't even know if it's becoming as much as it's just realizing that I am my own best friend. So like this idea of you versus you, like I used to kind of subscribe to that, and I get it, especially in training. It's like, I don't compete against anybody, but it's like, actually there was a huge pivot for me because I'm so literal sometimes too, as creative as I am. I'm Gemini, so there's like logic and there's like creativity happening at all times. Yeah. Well, I feel like it's the best of both worlds, because I love to be very analytical and like logical, and I'm like, but that's not even fucking true, Roxy, because like when I feel like I'm pushing myself and it's hard, I'm not like, what are you doing? Like, I'm like, fucking come on, Roxy, baby, let's fucking
you're cheerleading for yourself.
I'm cheering for myself, and even in not training, but just in the day-to-day life, because there's so much challenge in the life that I'm, creating and pursuing, right? That it's like I have really become. I call you got you. That's how I frame it now.
Yeah,
right?
That's great.
Like, I've got my own fucking soulmate, best friend, ride or die. Like, she's always with me, and the self-talk that comes with her is incredible. And that makes me want to ask you, like, what your self-talk, like, what is, because you have not done anything. I feel like the life that you've pursued and created is a life of challenge, right? Like, there's just, from all aspects, like not just the physical, which is such an obvious, but the mind rules everything. Like, mind leads us, right? So you've had to kind of,
I mean, I'm a huge proponent for self-talk, and I have helped myself get through a lot of stuff, because at the end of the day, like, people's opinions matter to me, like, and people that I go to for, advice, but at the end of the day, it's me. I gotta be okay with what I do, and I gotta own up to my life and be who I am. And so, I feel like I'm this kid from Santa Rosa, California, and I've worked hard, and there's these accolades and stuff, but mostly I just feel like this goofy girl that likes to laugh and be silly and flip around, and I feel like a kid still. And so sometimes I forget that, like, I forget to look at the list of accomplishments and go, You did that. Like, not looking forward, but looking back at, like, you did this, you did that, you did that. And so there was a point where I went through some really hard stuff in life, as we all do. And I started saying to myself, and this is thanks to my partner, Lisa Newman, like, every once in a while she'd be like, you're Heidi Moneymaker. And I was like, what do you mean by that? You know, I didn't get what she was saying. And what she was saying is, like, you've done all these things. You're amazing. Like, people want to be you, kind of thing. And so I started saying that to myself of, like, anytime I'd have a hard time, be like, you're Heidi Moneymaker. And you know what? You need to do this because someone needs to watch it or whatever and be inspired by it. So it's like, lead by example. And you've been given this gift to be this determined, hardworking person that's gotten to this place, and people are looking to you for help. So for me, it's like, you're Heidi Moneymaker. You can do this. You can do anything, and you need to do this because it's important. It's important for the other people looking up, you know, that are inspired by you. So that's one of my things, is being accountable to, like, the gifts that I've been given, you know, and knowing my place.
Yeah, that's very inspiring. Yeah, I mean, your body of work is incredible.
Oh, thank you.
And then to own it, and to own the fact that you're like, oh yeah, I've done this.
like every once in a while I'll have, like, a doubt about a skill that I'm trying to do, or I'll have a doubt about, like, you know, what I'm doing or where I'm going. And I'm like, no. Like, the second you have a doubt, you can't do it. You can do anything. And then I'll you know, then it just totally works though. Like, if you just believe in yourself, that sounds so corny, but you have to truly believe. Like, I have to believe that I can move that chair with my eyes. I mean, I don't right now, so I can't, but you know what I mean? Like, you have to go that deep as far as, like, I can do this. Like, I can do anything.
I don't think it sounds corny. I think it's truth. What I'm curious about is, like, was that something that you feel you developed, or did you come out kind of downloaded with this, I fucking got this?
No, I developed that over the years. Because actually, when I first started competing in gymnastics, I had a really hard time. Like, sometimes if I hit my routines, boom, I'd be winning, right?
Yeah.
But I would fall a lot too. I had a lot of self-doubt, especially on the beam. You know, and there was a day, like, I remember it wasn't until I was like a junior in high school, and I was at a national meet, and I was getting up to the beam. I'm like, oh, here we go. It's nationals again, and it's beam, and I really want to do well, but what if I fall? And then I went, it was a little bit of a flip switch where I'm like, no, that's fucking crazy. Like, I am not gonna fall. And you know what? I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna make this routine. Like, I'm not gonna think of it any other way. And that kind of changed for me when I started realizing, like, what's the difference? Talk yourself into it. If you fall, you fall, but talk yourself into it. Like, why are you talking yourself out of it?
I love that. I say this a lot. I'm like, you know, when you don't know, when you're standing there and you're, like, about to do your performance, right? It's a 50-50, really, right? Like, we don't know. And so your mind is going to invest on one side. You have to pick a side.
Yeah.
You're either investing in thoughts that are going to be supportive to you and your performance and the outcome, even though you have no real control. I mean, it's a little different, I think, when you're being physical, but ultimately, you know, in most cases in life, like, there's so much that we don't control, right? So when you're standing here in this kind of uncertain situation, you have to pick a side. Are you going to choose the thoughts that are going to support, you know, the best possible outcome, or are you going to invest in thoughts that are going to, you know, be working against you? I mean, and even to kind of break that down even more, it's like, well, what fucking feels better? And that's what's really interesting to me. Like, listen, I'm someone who's like, you know, the whole saying, like, I don't want to get my hopes up. I'm like,
yeah, you do
that shit. Get your fucking hopes up. And you know
shoot them up the sky. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, let them go fucking be as high as they want. And if it doesn't, in quotations, work out, so what?
Yeah. What do you have to lose? Yeah. Same thing.
Like, it's like, you know, but I think it's a lot of people are so afraid of, like, the letdown, but it's like, dude, there's no letdown. Like, you're just going to roll into the next scenario.
Yeah, you're like putting letdown energy into the world anyway. Like, why don't you put positive energy and see what happens? Because
right.
You know, it's like, are you going to sit around and wait for something to happen to you, or are you going to make something happen? Because you have the option, right? And so there was something when I was in college, one of our, I don't know if it was our head coach or one of our motivational, you know, speakers that came in said, I think it was our coach, Valerie Kondos. She's an amazing woman. She said, you can either draw the target and fire your arrow at it and hope that you know, train and hope that you get that in the middle of the bullseye, or you can shoot the arrow and then draw the bullseye around the arrow. Like, basically saying, put your goals out there and don't be afraid of it, and then hit your goal or get as close as you can to it. Don't just hang back and, like, do what you have to do and then be like, oh, that's what I wanted to do anyway. You know, I wanted to be a cat groomer. Yeah. You know, just sort of aspired to be a trim nails since I was little. You know?
No, I love that. It literally, it was like a post this morning that I put up on Instagram, but it's like, man, I'm attracted to this idea of like just continuously showing up for myself, showing up to do the work, living with focus and intention. This is actually the post today. It starts with, yes, you fucking can. But awesome. I wrote, I'm like, but my favorite part is what comes after those words that I tell myself every day. It's when my heart says to me, oh yeah, prove it.
That's
I'm
awesome.
Like, okay, bitch, let's do this.
I want to get inside your head for a minute. You'd be like, half your brain's got gloves on. Half your brain's like, no-gi. Come on.
I love no-gi. No, and it's so fucking fun. I get fired up. Like, prove it. I'm like, God, yeah, let's do this right now. Let's prove this. And so, and it's not, yes, I want the results. I want to hit the target. But what I really love is just witnessing how I don't make excuses. There's no shortcuts. I'm not fucking hoping. Like, a life of just wanting and never just applying is no life that I want to be living, like, at all.
Right.
I feel like you've just been applying your whole life.
You know what? I don't know. I go through periods of time where I'm just like, focus on this and do this. And then I go through other periods of time where I'm like, I'm gonna like hang back and see where I'm led. And that's what happened to me this summer. And I've been led in some really great places. And I just think it's important to it's sort of like, we were talking about probiotics earlier. I think it's kind of important to cycle your probiotics. Like, let your body get used to something for a while and then move on. I think that's like with life. Like,
yes,
go through cycles of things. Like,
well, life is just a series of cycles.
Yeah.
Right.
Ever changing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So the scene's always changing. And I think being very present and being very aware allows this sensitivity to know when to execute, when to pull back, when it's time to change the environment, change the scene. But I think that, again, like the main piece is like, you have to be very aware, and then you have to have this level of connection too with self to be able to know when to, it's a dance, right?
Yeah. When to charge, when to hang back. It's sort of like, film fighting, right? It's or partner dancing, where you're just like, you have to follow the motion, follow the wave. It's all these metaphors that we're coming up with right now.
Do you love dancing?
I love dancing. Yeah,
I felt like I love dancing.
I know.
Much.
It's so,
because you're just, I feel like that's such a part. That is a part of like fighting, right? It's like you are literally dancing. Yeah, that's amazing.
It is a dance. Like, if you have good fighters around you, good dance partners around you, you can make something look elaborate and crazy. If you're constantly battling each other and no one's going with the flow, like, it's a hot mess.
Yeah. That doesn't sound sexy at all.
It's not sexy. Yeah.
Stepping on each other. Wait, okay, I want to ask you this, and I know, if you had one extra hour in the day, what would you do with that hour?
If I had one extra hour in the day, I think I would add a lot more. I'd take my animals. I'd find a way to get my cats and dogs to love each other and get along, so they could all snuggle.
How many do you have?
I have 2 cats and 2 dogs. So actually, I went to China to do a movie like 3 years ago, and it's called Wolf Warrior 2. And we ended up having these dogs on our set, these puppies. And when we were leaving, the translator's like, well, we're probably just going to leave them out here, or they'll end up, in the festival. And it was nothing like against the dogs. It was just like, we're working out in the wilderness. Let's just leave them here. And I was like, no. So we ended up getting homes for all of them, and I brought home 2.
That's amazing.
And they're the best dogs ever. But I would take that extra hour, and I would grab my animals, and I'd either take them to the beach somewhere and put my feet in the sand, or I would sit out under a tree and read a book. Like, for me, the thing I feel that I miss the most is that quiet time and that downtime. Like, I really, especially as I'm getting older, I want to be near my animals. I literally want to have a house in Colorado or Montana and just go out and be in nature. I crave it. I want to put my feet in grass. I want to be near trees, I just want to connect to the earth a little bit more,
Yeah, no, totally. I make it a point to touch the sand every day if I can. I mean, obviously the negative charge, like, there's actual benefits to us physically that we get. But I feel like what I've always expressed in my writing is that nature is truth. Like, it just puts, and the thing is that we are nature too. It's like, well, hello, it's all a connection, right? But I feel that when we put ourselves out into nature, first of all, we see the real perspective of like, oh shit, we're small. Like, we're part of this, but we're actually pretty small. Yeah. But we are important, and there is like a relationship that is constant with us. And I feel like essentially it helps to, keep that relationship really healthy. And then that in return is keeping us right, very healthy and feeling good.
I feel like in a past life I was a Native American. Because to me, like, I'm not great with horses, but like riding bareback on a horse with like a bunch of feathers everywhere and like only hunting what you needed and like praying over the animal and thanking God for, all these things, like just the way they lived their lives, like always moving, but always in the tribal mentality. If an animal had to die or if a fish had to die, like that, you're using every part of it. You're, sitting around a camp, like a fire every night, with your tribe, and you're practicing your rituals. Like, to me, that's just so amazing.
Sick.
Yeah.
So, well, I think there's so much richness to it because everything has feeling and purpose, right?
Plus, I'd love to have a really good tan like that.
Who doesn't, right? I know. All this gray. I'm like, listen, Southern California, like, get it together. It's fucking August already. No, I think that's so beautiful, though. Just to have that. That's a great. Wait, actually, let me ask you this: if you, who is your? How do I want to frame this? Spirit animal, male and female.
Spirit animal, like actual animal?
No.
Oh, like, who are my people that are my spirit animals?
Character.
Well,
and they could be
my
dead,
sister Renee is definitely, like, we're pretty sure we're twins, even though we're 9 years apart. It's like super twin energy. That. And like, we will literally be on opposite ends of the world, and one of us will FaceTime each other, and we'll be wearing some like obscure random shirt that there's no way that we both have the same shirt and we're wearing it on FaceTime today. Aww. So it's like that kind of stuff with us. So she's my female spirit animal. And then, do I have a male spirit animal? I don't know. I don't know if I have a male spirit animal. I have a. Yeah, no, I don't. I don't think I do.
Okay.
I'm gonna think about this. And I'm gonna be one day. I'm gonna be like, wait a second, I do.
I know, right? You text me.
I mean, Will Ferrell.
There you go. There you go.
No, actually, if we're talking, yeah, maybe it would probably be Jim Carrey.
Oh my God, so good.
Yeah, he's the best.
I mean, I love that you love to laugh. I'm such a cackler.
Oh my God. It's so I want to do action comedy. Like, I want to direct action comedy, and not just like a comedy that has a little bit of action. Like, I want to do some True Lies stuff that like people are laughing their asses off, but it's like big deal action. So yeah, because for me,
that's rad.
When I watch an action film or a drama or whatever, like I'm into it, and I want to feel it and see it and everything. But a lot of times, because of what I do, I'm looking at it to learn. Like, okay, how did they shoot this? Oh, those colors are here, whatever. But if you want to really entertain me, and if I want to shut off and relax, it's comedy all the way. That's all I want to do is laugh.
That's so rad. Yeah. And I feel like it's touching different emotions, and then you're getting like a full package experience emotionally. And I think that there's a bigger takeaway, an impact from that experience versus just like one. I mean, who doesn't love to laugh?
Yeah, like, laughter's important.
Right? Like, one of the greatest things, it wasn't my original words, but I used it on Instagram. It's like, how cool is laughter? It's literally joy that you can't contain in your body. Isn't that fucking rad?
Oh, that's so great.
I know, right? That's so cool. I love that you said that, because I was actually curious, like, well, how would you really direct your directing career path? Like, what? I
mean, I'm interested in a lot of things. I love things that make you think, and I like kind of like, sarcastic, satirical things that like maybe aren't necessarily funny, but like become funny because like someone goes through this whole process to get something done. The whole movie they're running and chasing and whatever, and then at the end they just get hit by a car. Like where you're like, what? Like that to me, I kind of like, even though it's not like funny, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm a big fan. I love action. I love making cool things. I love making things that are beautiful and everything. But yeah, if I can get a little laugh out of you, I'm pretty happy.
I love that. What's one thing that people don't know about you? Like, I know a lot, obviously there's the obvious things that people know about Heidi Moneymaker, but what's one thing?
Oh, I know something people don't know about me. This is a good story.
Tell me. Tell us.
So in first grade, there's this game. I just told this story the other day. There's this game called Around the World, and it's really hard to win. And this is something people probably do know about me. I like to win. So basically there's like 28 kids in your class or whatever, and it's a math flashcard game. So basically, like, you get, if I'm on the first desk, I stand up and I move to the desk behind me, and the teacher flips a flashcard, and whoever answers the correct answer first gets to move on. So you have to beat everybody in the whole class in a row. You have to know the answers to all the math problems and be faster than everyone to win the game. And so I'm like 3 people from winning. Like, this is a big deal, and I have to pee really bad, and I'm like in my little uniform skirt, and I'm like grabbing my crotch and like dancing around. My teacher's like, "Do you have to go to the bathroom?" I'm like, "No," because I didn't want to like break the spell. I was like, I'm on a roll, I'm gonna win, you know. And so basically she kept asking me, I'm like, "No, flashcards." "Give me the card." And so I ended up getting to the last desk, I got the answer right, won the game, and then ran out the door and like peed myself all the way out of the classroom. So this is how my desire to win is very strong.
That's amazing. Side note, the closest people to me in my life are obsessed with winning too. Like, it's just like, I love that when I hear that. Like, there's a real theme in like people in my life where it's like, no, I love winning.
That was me chasing excellence in my first grade year. And chasing the bathroom.
That's amazing. How fun.
Totally sacrificed embarrassment and peed myself in front of the whole class, but I won.
But you fucking won.
I fucking won.
Dude, okay, wait. So what's if I love this question. If you can go back and give Heidi, younger Heidi, who's just starting her career as an actress and stunt woman, advice, what would you give her?
I think I would tell her to take a breath. You know, because the first part of my career was very intense, and I was constantly training, and it was all about like, be the best, be the best, be the best. And that's great. And it's got me where I am. But I think it would have behooved me to find meditation a little bit sooner. And I think I would have told myself that I don't have to take every job, even if it's a big one. And once in a while, take a breath, because I think it would have given me a chance to look around a little bit sometimes and see the things in my life that weren't serving me well.
Yeah.
Because some of those things, it took me a long time to realize and move through.
Yeah.
So
that's beautiful.
Thanks.
I want to ask you some rapid fire questions. Is that cool? Okay. Are you like me? I have
like, ready. I'm gonna win.
Well, they're actually rapid fire words that I'm going to throw at you, and there's just whatever's top of mind. But I was going to say, are you like me in the sense of like, I have a hard time sitting. The only time that I don't have a hard time sitting is in the morning when I'm doing my meditation and my journaling, my reading. But after that, I'm like, I got to move. And if it's more than 2 hours, it's literally hard.
Yeah,
like, I literally have to move because I'm always moving. So I feel like more begets more, right?
Yeah. I think I'm the same way. Like, if you can bring yourself into like a peaceful space, like you're sleeping or you're whatever, then cool. But otherwise, it's like,
especially during the day,
jumping around.
Like, yeah. I want to learn how to jump from here. Okay, so I want to. I'm going to throw these words at you, and you know, there's no competition, whatever. I'm like, take away the fun.
Wait, so you're going to say a word, and I just say what I think when you say the word?
Yeah, like what it means and what your relationship, something like that.
Okay.
Fear.
Debilitating.
Challenge.
Excitement.
Love.
Oh, I don't know. I see like lots of hearts. I don't know. I just saw hearts everywhere.
You are an artist. I love it.
They were like bubbling up everywhere.
So I love bubbling up everywhere.
Hearts bubbling up.
So cute. That's a good gift.
Yes.
I love gifts. Oh my God.
I know. Oh my
They're
God.
so much fun. Surrender.
Calm. Yeah. I'm like, calm.
Your face expression. I'm glad. I hope this.
Damn it.
Attempting the first video. I don't know if it's working out.
Plug that in, I think.
But dude, okay. So I'm always mindful of time and sitting energy. I'm so grateful to talk with you. I feel like I haven't even like scratched the surface of your wonderfulness.
Oh,
like,
that's so sweet.
No, it's so true though. Like I'm psyched we met. I'm like coming after you as a friend. Like
yes. I'm gonna stalk your Instagram starting now.
No, you're so rad, and I'm inspired, and I'm excited to see what comes next from Heidi Moneymaker. Like, I really already can feel that it's going to be amazing, you know, and yeah, so it'll be rad to witness and support however I can. Is there anything that you want to leave out into to our audience that you haven't said yet in this episode? Or
I mean, I feel like for me right now in my life, I'm trying to think of what my mission is. My partner and I today were talking about, like, when people ask you what you do you tell them what your job is, what your career is, what you're aspiring to do, what your mission in life is? And I feel like I would rather talk about my mission in life. And I feel like for me, it's to be inspirational, because in being inspirational for someone else, I can be inspirational for myself. And so I guess, yeah, if you can inspire someone, inspire them. And if not, find someone to inspire you and then take from them what you can to help inspire others.
I love that so much for a lot of reasons. One, I just think it's absolutely beautiful. Two, by the way, you were already so inspiring, but yes, keep doing it. Three, actually, I asked this in some podcasts, like, what do you, when people ask you what you do, like, how do you describe yourself? And I think we're in a time where it's just like, gratefully, you know, you're not defined by one thing. Mm-hmm. You know, I've been a celebrity makeup artist for 15 years, but I don't, when somebody asks me what I do, it's almost like, cause
you're like, here's the pamphlet. It's all in there.
Seriously. No, but I've never thought about it that way. And I feel like it always ends up moving in that direction where, you know, I'll talk about Black Belt Beauty, but what ends up coming out of Black Belt Beauty is the mission and the intention behind it. You know, right. Like, I really do feel and believe that I am a thought leader in personal empowerment and high performance living, but really right. like living from an empowered life, which is, you know, that's the genesis, that's the driving force behind everything in Black Belt Beauty in this podcast. So, but I've never, the way that you just frame that is so beautiful. Yeah. It's not just like these defined, like, this is what I do. It's more like
who you are.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. You know. Yeah. Rad. Okay.
So cool. Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been so fun.
No, you're amazing. Thank you. I am so inspired by you. I would love for you to share with our audience, and it'll all be in the show notes, how they can stay up with you and your badassery.
Okay. Well, you can find me on Instagram at Heidi Moneymaker, or Fierce Lotus also has an Instagram. You can find me there. And probably soon to be the Moneymaker's Instagram for my sister and I.
That's sick.
So yeah, I'm a big Instagram person. I mean,
me too.
Yeah, it's the best way to keep in touch with what's happening.
Totally. Well, and you're an artist, so it's like the visual of it all.
Yeah.
Wait, I want to do one of your classes.
Okay, great. Yeah, you know what? Come. I'm gone next week, but the week after next, come down, Lisa, and I'll put you through the Action Star workout. It's so much fun.
Shit, that's amazing. Okay, you guys heard it here. I'm committed. Okay.
She's in.
All right, you guys. I'm gonna go let this badass get back to her day. Thank you so much, and catch you on the next.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode, you guys. If you loved it, please share it on your social. Throw it up on your Instagram stories and tag me. I'm at Black Belt Beauty. I am also at Roxy Look, RoxyLook. I love connecting with you guys. This is a conversation that I want to just continue growing with you guys. So if you feel inspired to hit me up, do so in that space. I always enjoy hearing from you. If you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so by rating it and reviewing it via iTunes. It's such supportive help, you guys. It really helps the visibility of this podcast. So I appreciate and thank you in advance for doing that. And last but not least, if you are interested in starting your own podcast, or perhaps you already have one and you need help with, editing your audio and the production of it, I cannot recommend my producers enough. Resonate Recordings, you guys, they are the bomb. I rely on them. They are an absolute supportive tool to me and my podcast. So check them out and let them know that Black Belt Beauty sent you. And on that note, you guys, I'm signing off with all my love and always looking forward to catching you on the next.